Look, it is what it is. It is what it is. I know Chennedy Carter, cheap shot at Caitlin Clark that one time. I know she's probably not had the best career as far as locker room stuff, but right now, we're talking purely basketball. Chennedy Carter is the best guard in the WNBA. How she is not an all-star is crazy. But before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 17.5k by the end of the day. And yeah, so we got to talk about it. Chennedy Carter is unbelievable. She is unbelievable. Is she a point guard? No. For anyone saying, how am I saying Chennedy Carter is the best guard in the NBA when I'm saying Caitlin Clark's the best point guard in the NBA? Two different positions. But like, what she's doing is ridiculous. She had 33 points yesterday. She had 33 points on 15 of 24 from the field. She shot 62.5%. She's doing it without shooting threes. She's just faster than everyone else. She's more efficient than everyone else. She's the best pull-up mid-range game. No one can guard her. No, genuinely, nobody can guard Chennedy Carter. 3 steals as well. 3 assists, 4 boards. No one can guard Chennedy Carter. If we're talking about who the best guards are as what we're talking about, like pure like scoring guards, is she better? Breanna's a completely different player. But like if we're talking about like a Jewel Lloyd, a Kelsey Plum, these type of players who are scorers. They play at the guard position, but they are flat out scorers. None of them are as good as Chennedy Carter. And it doesn't matter what Chennedy Carter has done in the past at the end of the day. It really doesn't matter. Should Chennedy Carter have been chucked out of that game and maybe suspended against Caitlin Clark? I think she should have been chucked out. I don't think it was worth suspension. She should have been chucked out of that game. Yeah. No question about that. But since that game, has she rattled off the best stretch of games and the best stretch of the season for any player in this league, maybe? Other than A'ja Wilson? Yeah. Like, Chennedy Carter should be an all-WNBA player. She is, and she, not only that, she's probably the most exciting player to watch. Like, outside of Caitlin Clark, I think the next most exciting player to watch, it's either going to be Arike or Chennedy. It is. Like, Chennedy Carter, she's up to averaging 16.3 points per game. Do you know how many points she was averaging through 10 games? Like 9. If you look at her game log, let's look at her game log. 36 or 33, 26, 15, 20, 23. Like, she had one not great game against Minnesota. She had 20 on the Aces, 23 against the Fever. And then rattled off a 26-point game. And by the way, this is 26 on 11 of 16 shooting and 33 on 15 of 24 shooting. Like, if you watch the game against the Dream, she won it by herself. Like, I get it, Angel Reese had whatever, 18 rebounds. I didn't think she had a great game against the Dream. She was exceptional last night, but I didn't think she had a great game against the Dream. This was purely Chennedy Carter willing this team to win. This was the Dream against the Sky. The worst game of basketball I've ever watched. Chennedy Carter willed them to a win. Last night, they played a really good Seattle Storm team. A Seattle Storm team who have blitzed the Fever every time they've played them. And Chennedy Carter goes and drops to 33 points. Especially when Jewel Lloyd, who is her equivalent on the other team, goes 5 of 14 from the field. 5 of 14. Heck, Angel Reese had as many offensive rebounds even as Nneka and Ezi Magbegor had combined defensive rebounds, which is crazy as well. Like, this Sky team, look, everyone projected them to be one of the worst teams in the WNBA. And at the start of the year, they didn't look great. They really did not look great. Because Chennedy Carter obviously was playing as a sixth man off the bench. She was playing off the bench. And look, she was doing really well. She was going to win 6th Player of the Year. And genuinely, if you watch the games, they would be, without Chennedy Carter on the floor, this team is not good. Genuinely, this team is not good without Chennedy Carter on the floor. They won by 4. She was plus 13. In the 5 minutes she didn't play, they were or in the 4.5 minutes she didn't play, they were minus 9. They were minus 9 in the 4 minutes Chennedy Carter didn't play. Like, so many times throughout the year, they dug themselves a big hole early on in the games. When she was coming off the bench, they would dig themselves a 15-point hole, a 10, 15-point hole. And then she would almost get them back in the game by herself. By herself. When you were watching her come off the bench, you were like, she's the best bench player in the league. And I genuinely thought, okay, her getting moved into the starting lineup, yeah, they're going to start games better. But they're not going to get that comeback when they dig themselves a hole. And Chennedy Carter, especially at the start of the year, she was like, not that she was playing slowly, but she was slowing down in games. She was starting off games really well. She was starting off the halves very well. Now she's just been straight up the best guard in the league. And I hate having to say this. As someone who has become like a de facto Fever fan, a Caitlin Clark fan, I would love to be just there and saying, oh yeah, Chennedy Carter is terrible. Like, she's only known because of the cheap shot of Caitlin Clark. But at the end of the day, whether or not that makes her more known or not, doesn't matter. Because she's out. If you look at the guards even on Team USA, the only guard you could say, can you even consider Cal Copper a guard? I'm trying to think of what guards you could say are outplaying her. Sabrina Ionescu, cool. If you want to make that argument. She's been better than Jewel Lloyd this year. Chennedy Carter's been better than Jewel Lloyd this year. Chennedy Carter has been better than Kelsey Plum this year. Chennedy Carter, especially since coming into the starting lineup, she's averaging over 20 a game on ridiculous efficiency since becoming a starter. Like, if she just got the 3-ball, and like she has been shooting at stage in her career, she shot the 3-ball okay. So if she can get the 3-ball back, you're looking at one of the 5 or 6 best players in this league. Since she's become a starter, in my opinion, she's been the second best player in the WNBA after A'ja Wilson. She's been the second best player in the league since becoming a starter. And she's not even an all-star. How? I get it. She didn't get her all-star this year because of the past. She didn't get picked as an all-star because of what happened in the past. Whether that be the start, like the cheap shot, or the fact that she's been kicked off multiple teams and tried to fight teammates. But this Chicago Sky team, it seems like she's playing for a coach. If you're looking at anything from the Sky, there's been nothing but positivity from Chennedy Carter since the 1st of June. Obviously, the Caitlin Clark situation was bad, but there's been nothing but positivity between her, between the team, everything. Like, Teresa Weatherspoon seems to be the perfect coach for the players that maybe, like, I'm not going to say, like, to be fair, I was going to say I'm not going to say attitude issues, but no, she had attitude issues, and Teresa Weatherspoon's kept it in check. Teresa Weatherspoon has got everything out of an Angel Reese. Like, you could see at the start of the year, maybe Angel Reese sometimes was focusing a little bit on the rivalry, a little bit on the media stuff. No, there's been nothing since the second game against Caitlin Clark, the game where she showed up in the Joker shoes and got completely outplayed. There's been nothing but positivity from Angel Reese, and since that game, Angel Reese has been by far the best rookie this season. So, you got to give credit. As far as X's and O's are concerned, I'm not sure Teresa Weatherspoon is the greatest coach, but as far as being a player's coach, she's been the best in the league. She's been the best in the league for that. And again, if you have looked up some of the stuff with Marina Mabry historically, like, they've called her the Pat Bev of the WNBA. She was a cheap shot artist. She'd be trying to fight players. And Marina Mabry, even though she's not playing particularly well this year, there's been no attitude issues. So, you got to give credit where credit's due to the Chicago Sky coaching staff. You got to give credit where credit's due to the players. And you got to give credit where credit's due to Chennedy Carter. Because over the last 5 weeks, she's been the second best player in the league. And she has been the best guard in the league by far. As soon as she came into the starting lineup, everything changed for this team. And look, I don't think Chicago Sky are very good. I don't think they're going to be a 500 team. I really don't. But right now, they're the best of the worst. Like, there are 6 good teams and there are 6 pretty bad teams. And they are the best of the bad teams. They're not as good as the Mercury. They're not as good as, obviously, the Storm, Sun, Lynx, or Aces, or Liberty. They're not as good as any of them. But right now, this Sky team is better than the Fever. They are better than the Dream, especially without Ryan Howard. They're better than the Sparks. They're better than the Wings. And they're better than the Mystics. And a lot of that is down to who is right now the best guard in the WNBA, Chennedy Carter.